Because there are a number of issues we haven't even talked about yet, which is how are we going to be able to afford this? And then I remember you, Will, bringing up the question about staffing. That's not built into the $59.1 million.
No, it's a very curious formula that the county is able to use because of funding limits that have been placed upon local governments by the state of Wisconsin. We're able to borrow money. We can borrow up to a certain point before the board majority needs to approve beyond that. And what we've done is we've stepped right up to that limit, and that allows us to build this building, to build this new jail facility.
And that's without the referendum?
Right, and that's because we can borrow money. But what we can't do is raise taxes, although the borrowing is allowed to go in and in essence is showing up on your tax bill. But we can't raise taxes for what's called levy dollars or operating dollars. It's sort of a complex situation. But what it means is when it comes to bringing on the 20 new, 30 new positions that are being talked about for this jail, we've got to come up with that money out of somewhere, and it's going to come out of not the borrowing money, but that's up and above the $59.1 million. That's going to come out of other programs that exist on the county, in the county right now, whether that's in some other department, or find some way of magically making money appear out of air.
That's a real concern I have, too, in this process, because we're making some great strides right now with the different courts that we're setting up, in the drug court and the family court. We're also getting some programs to try to stop this recurring in and out, the kind of open door, closed door that goes on to help do some rehabilitation. And those programs really haven't had a big opportunity to have an effect.
Well, Maureen and I have talked about that a lot, and she's been following this very closely because those programs have a lot of promise, and there might not be dollars for those.
And there's been a lot of research to show that treatment is a lot more effective, expensive dollars than incarceration is. Incarceration is very expensive. And what happens so often, if many of the people that end up in the jail, and I've heard estimates of 70 to 80% have alcohol and drug problems or mental health problems. And if those go untreated, very likely these people will return. It's a recidivism rate. We have a very high recidivism rate. So we continue to pay this incarceration costs for people. And this is something not happening just in Eau Claire. The state of Wisconsin has a real problem with this, and it's all over the country. And governments are trying to do something that's more effective. And one of the things are these courts that address these issues, like our drug court, which has had very good results. And we just, in the past year, started the AIM court, which is also intended for that. And we will have a mental health court starting very soon. I'm concerned about what will happen. Is the funding for those going to be in jeopardy as we move forward, as Will was saying, because we're going to have to pay not only for the staffing of this jail, but for the energy costs in this jail, and all of that's going to have to come out of levy dollars. I do know that in one of the documents I received that was looking at how we would do this, there was a projection that we would rent out beds to 55 inmates from other counties.
Right.
Well, I have a concern for that. One is I don't know that that's a great way to budget, because we don't know that we're going to have those 55 inmates. I'm also concerned about becoming a place that will rent jail facilities to other counties. And as we grow, I'm assuming that we'll be filling that jail and that income won't be there. So I am very interested in us committing our money to these other programs to really address the needs of the people that are ending up in our jail. Now, there are people that need to be incarcerated. Violent people need to be incarcerated. There are many people in our jail that is not the issue, but they do have issues having to do with drug and alcohol addiction, mental health issues. Those need to be addressed.
So just recently, I know you and I were at a program that they brought in some ways of analyzing the data. I mean, our sheriff is an efficient operation, and he's got lots of data on our people that are in the jail system, but the data has never been analyzed. We've never had the instruments to do that. So they brought in a few gentlemen. They were only here for a couple days, and in those couple days they did a lot of interviewing, and they put together some interesting pieces, I think, that needs to go further, but they are beginning to see that the short-term turnover people don't take up a lot of bed space, where the long-term people do take up a lot more bed And so who's our makeup? We don't really know that. I mean, we have, and that's information that really needs to be known before we make the decision on how we're going to affect and what we're going to do. And I'm almost feeling that they jumped ahead and decided that, okay, let's build this, and then we'll fix everything by doing that. And what are we building, and how big do we have to build? I know there were a number of options that were presented, and it seems like most of those were kind of just filtered out. And they talk like all or nothing. For example, I think, was it a split campus that was talked about?
Yeah. Yeah, and this has been a big concern of mine, exactly what you're addressing, and is that we're going about this backwards.
Yeah.
We've got programs that we could put in place to address the jail population, and it's not just the people in jail, it's a taxpayer issue. If we're building this expensive project, shouldn't we at least know more about who's in the jail, why they're in the jail, and how we can keep them out of the jail? And we just haven't put that type of information in front of us. And the board, however, has been willing to charge ahead, and I'm hoping the city will help those of us that are concerned about it.
And that is one of our solutions right now. I mean, the group that's been formed, the Citizens for Accountability in Jail Expansion, they had a rally, an awareness rally, and it's interesting. I mean, it was called a protest rally, and it really wasn't. It was an awareness rally. It's the one way to get focus on what's going on. And I don't think the makeup of the people that I've seen in that group will range from people who say we need no jail, no matter what, to people who recognize that, yeah, there's some issues that we need jails. But I think the consensus is that building that structure and starting down that path on our riverfronts is not the correct way to go. And I'm sorry that the county didn't participate and doesn't quite understand what the comprehensive plan is. And I don't know where they've been when the city's been spending money, having winding paths and bike trails and developing downtown, and they're talking about all the things, investments. Where have they been? I mean, it's almost like they're not in the same city we're in. Right now, I think taxpayers and citizens in the neighborhood, what their best opportunity is to go to the city council. Our city council, has the rezone that property. And that's really strange. You'd think the county would go to the city and say, okay, we need to get this property rezoned. Is this going to be a go? Because they're spending money and they don't even know what the city's opinion is. It's almost like they don't care. And I can understand that. I mean, their job is to run the county, not to take care of our city. And fortunately, we have our city council people, and they have a comprehensive plan, and they'll hear, and they're a little bit more open. I think they'll hear from people in terms of what we can do as the public to talk to the council, just continue to talk to the county board, and hopefully we'll be able to get something addressed there.